It's official, I reached 200 subscribers. It's funny how it took me 2 years to reach 100, but it only took me a little more than a month to gain 100 more subs, so that makes me happy. I mean slightly less angry, I don't emulate happiness. So as I promised, I'm doing a Q&A and let's get down to business. Internet Clod asks, episodic or plot-driven shows? What is the character you find the most annoying? Evil just to be evil villains or sympathetic villains? I prefer plot-driven shows. Episodic shows have the advantage of having rewatchable episodes from any point and more creative freedom, but I prefer shows with plot-driven episodes because I like continuity, overarching plots, the sense of actions having future consequences, and characters being developed. The most annoying character I've ever met? Sarah really gets on my nerves. And when it comes to villains, I tend to have a stronger connection with sympathetic villains, but I do think it's good to have a little bit of both. Like Aku. He's as evil as he can get, but there are also a few moments where you kind of feel sympathetic towards him. Like the episode where he tried to convince a new generation of kids to like him instead of Jack. Cecil Marvin asks, Coke or Pepsi? I choose Coke, mainly because of the gas. Wait, is that my brother? Your thoughts on Steven Universe, Witch, and Little Witch Academia. Out of all those shows, I've only seen Steven Universe, and it's a great show. The characters are well written, they're very tight with continuity, the story arcs are interesting, the music is relaxing and nice to listen, and right until season 3, the show had really good pacing. Billy V's has a couple of questions. What is your opinion on Adult Swim shows? Aside from Rick and Morty and season 5 of Samurai Jack, I haven't seen Adult Swim shows. Rick and Morty is an hilarious, fantastic, creative, and thought-provoking show that includes one of my favorite characters of all time, Rick Sanchez. Season 5 of Samurai Jack, I've talked about it before, and it was pretty great too. What are your thoughts on The Critic? I haven't seen it. Do you know/enjoy Ruby by Rooster Teeth? Yes, I do know Ruby. I've seen only the first 10 episodes of the first season. I think there's also a chibi version of that series, and I'm not sure why they did that, but whatever. Also, yes, I do enjoy Ruby. I think the show does a really good job establishing conflict between the characters. The action is well animated and choreographed, and the main character has pretty much the best weapon I've ever seen. It's both a scythe and a sniper. That's really cool. The only complaints I might have are with the art style and the wonky dialogue. Louise TheSim asks, how would you feel if Cartoon Network considered rebooting Billy and Mandy? Oh, I'm glad I can finally talk about this. If CN considered doing that, I would feel very upset and concerned. I think rebooting that show is a bad idea. The first reason is because of the style. Billy and Mandy has this slapsticky and cartoonish style that's very reminiscent of the early 2000s, which not only plays a huge role in certain visual gags, but it also helps balance the darker side of the show. Based on what I've seen from the more recent reboots, if the show were to be rebooted, they would adapt that generic Cartoon Network Studios art style that's based on Adventure Time and regular show, which is less reminiscent of the early 2000s cartoons because of the smooth and boneless body movements and the thin outlines. Also, I seriously doubt if Cartoon Network would allow Billy and Mandy to have the same creative freedom that it had in its original run. Again, based on what I've seen from the more recent reboots, Cartoon Network likes to play it safe. Dark Saigon asks, what is a cartoon you gave up watching, and if so, what is the reason why? I kind of gave up watching Friendship is Magic while I was still in season 1, and as for why, well, I don't know. Like, the show caught my attention in the 2-part premiere, but then I slowly started losing interest as I watched more episodes. Like, the show is decent, but every episode has a very basic structure to the point where it's kind of boring, and I personally didn't find the show to be that funny. I've been told the show gets better, and who knows, maybe one day I'll feel the need to give the show another chance. Okay, so we have a long stream of questions from NoParkingBerry. I know Scar is your favorite Evil Con Carne character, but how would you rank all of the characters from that show? At least the main ones. From top to bottom, Scar, Hector, every soldier working for Evil Con Carne, Cod Commando, Ghastly, Estroy, Stomach, and Bosco. Which animator do you respect and take influence from the most? In terms of respect, Genndy Tartakovsky is at the top. In terms of taking influence, I don't know, Maxwell Adams? Favorite Nicktoons? Invader Zim. How do you fell in love with the works of Maxwell Adams? Oh, I guess I was exposed to his work ever since I was a kid. Although watching it now, I think the reason why I enjoy his work so much is the fact that Maxwell Adams' style almost completely matches my style of humor. Like, in a scary way. Ever thought about supporting Great Elia Griffin on her eBay store? The money goes to charity. Huh, I had no idea that was a thing. Well, supporting her in her eBay store implies giving her money, and I have no money. Which videos do you think are the causes of your channel suddenly reaching 200 subscribers? Well, that's easy. It was the video where I criticized other YouTubers, which surprisingly hasn't received too much negative backlash, despite the fact that I said some triggering inducing comments. I guess another video that probably boosted the number of subs was my video on Young Sheldon, but honestly, if that was the case, I certainly didn't notice. I know the hat in your avatar is from General Scar, but as for the glasses, were they taken from Irwin or Nurgle Jr.? No, they were mostly inspired by Dexter's glasses. What shows or movies traumatized you the most as a kid? Mirrors kind of traumatized me, and I think I first watched it when I was 11? Although I wasn't traumatized for too long. Any cartoon crushes? By now, I think you know who mine is. No, I don't have any cartoon crushes. Thoughts on the Billy and Mandy video game, as well as Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion XL. Unfortunately, I haven't played any of those games yet. Thoughts on the Iron Giant? I've never seen it. Do you watch commentaries on YouTube? Nope. I've seen a few, like Doodletones and Jonah Smith, but that's not a side of YouTube I follow. What are your thoughts on Animat? I haven't seen any of his videos. Thoughts on Leafy is Here, Keemstar, and Grade A Underway. From what I've seen from Leafy, his videos are kind of garbage. Keemstar, I've heard stories about him, but I don't watch any of his videos, so I'm indifferent toward him. Grade A, I think he's a funny guy. Sure, I'm not a fan of his production value and the way he structures his videos, but I think he's a really funny dude. Thoughts on fan fiction, especially of your favorite shows? I find fan fiction to mostly be harmless. Although there's this fan comic called Grim Tales, and in that, Mandy is an adult, I hope, and she's married to Grim, which started this storm of fan art shipping Mandy and Grim. Now, since I don't read Grim Tales, I'm only familiar with the child version of Mandy, who's like 9 or 10 years old, and seeing fan arts with her being intimate with Grim, who's like thousands of years old, feels very wrong. FLA Marlins 2716 asks, Mandy is my favorite Billy and Mandy character, and you like her too. Is she your all-time favorite cartoon character? I don't know, there are a lot of characters I like, and for me to determine who's my favorite character of all time, I have to analyze both their personality and their situational circumstances, which is a lot of thinking, especially since there are a lot of characters I like. I don't know, maybe she would probably be a huge candidate for my favorite character, but for now, I'm unsure. Okay, so we have a few questions from Jacob Jones, but I'll have to skip the first 3 questions since I haven't checked any of those shows. Sorry. Do you personally feel that Tumblr gets a bad reputation? Yes, and I think they deserve that bad reputation. Tumblr sucks. It's a toxic website. Sure, there are some good people there. I've seen a lot of funny posts there, and there are a lot of well-drawn art, but there are a lot of infuriating people there. Like, this is the same website where people said that heterosexuality is ruining television shows just because Jack and Ashi hooked up in episode 8 of season 5. I'll admit I wasn't a huge fan of that romance, but still, that's not enough for me to conclude that heterosexuality is ruining television shows. Alright, that's stupid. Name one cartoon that you never got the hype for and why. Probably OKKO. I saw some of the shorts in Cartoon Network's official YouTube channel before the show came out, and I wasn't fully impressed by it. It didn't seem like a show that would appeal to me personally, so I wasn't as hyped as everyone else. Although I've seen the first 4 episodes, and I'll admit the show's kinda good. I guess I also wasn't very hyped for Captain Underpants. I didn't like the trailer. Bikini Bottom Newsman asks, can you do a review of One Punch Man? Probably not. To be honest, I've never watched an entirety of an anime series besides Bakugan Battle Brawlers and Watamore. Jude Robson asks, what do you think about Maxwell Adams' new show Dead Meat? Yeah, about that. Here's the thing. I'll admit that the concept of the series is very unique. I'm sure this is not your average cartoon. However, there isn't anything about the series that's keeping me excited. The premise is interesting enough, but I can't find anything that confirms that this project is promising. Well, aside from the creator's name and some of the voice actors. You know, I've noticed there are a lot of questions here related to Billy and Mandy. I never thought this cartoon might be the sort of main theme of this channel, but you know what? I'm fine with it. And finally, we have Manraptor with a few questions. Are you the man who laid his hand on the man who owns the land? No. Do you like to bathe in the blood of your enemies? Not yet. Favorite dinosaur or prehistoric animal? Probably Velociraptor. Is there any guilty pleasure you have? Well, that's easy, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I've seen that movie several times, and even though I think the movie is below average, I still enjoy it for some reason. It's probably because of Hans Zimmer's musical score and the action scenes, especially with Electro. Any obscure cartoons, television shows, or films you recommend to watch? Maybe Ruby Gloom and Making Fiends? Do people still remember Ruby Gloom? You know, I'm not even sure if these shows should even be considered obscure, but I think they're currently unpopular enough to name them. Do you draw? Well, kind of. I had a few digital drawings, but my laptop's gone. I think you can find some of them on my DeviantArt page, maybe, I don't know. What is the dumbest animated film or show that you've ever seen? Maybe Robot Boy, although if we're talking about live action film, definitely Cyberbully. So I guess this is the end of the Q&A. I might as well also thank all of you for the 200 subscribers, and I hope this isn't the end of the journey. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye for now.